Hello, and welcome to Rise to Your Money Power. I'm Pamela Plick, and in this monthly conversation series, I will be having an honest conversation with successful women who have risen above their fears, limiting beliefs, and risen to their money power. What they will do in this series is talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges that they've overcome, whether they were spiritual, emotional, or practical challenges, how they overcame it, and what they do on a daily basis to stay in their money power. So my intention for you, those of you that are watching, is to hopefully learn something from this conversation and be inspired to take the next step, whatever that might be, to help you rise into your money power. So today I am so excited to have Christine Howard as my guest. Um, and Christine, hello, welcome.
Pamela, so happy to be here with you today.
Well, great. Happy to have you. Before we get started, let me share a little bit about you with our audience. And Christine is a recognized and respected business leader dedicated to creating transformational products and coaching services. Books and talks instrumental for awakening radiance and power of women's true beauty and their ability to achieve their soul-centered calling. And I just love that. And also, I'm happy to say Christine is a friend as well. So great to have you here. So let's jump right in, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, the first question that I have is if you could please share a little bit about your money story and how it impacted your journey to becoming an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. And that money story, fortunately, has changed over time, as I'm sure, a lot of your listeners. And that's kind of the point, right? As we look at things and we grow from it. And I will say, prior to a big transformation that I went through several years ago, I was very cautious about spending any money on me. And that could have been in my wardrobe. It was as an entrepreneur. I felt like I didn't, in some respect, I didn't deserve it. And it was selfish of me, as I was still raising the kids, to justify, or could I justify spending money for myself, for training, for coaching, for growing and expanding my business. And it wasn't until I had my own, what I call wake-up calls in my life, which were my personal challenges of a health scare and a divorce, that caused me to really take that look inward and look at everything in my life. And it was from that deep inquiry I started to look at how I was not taking control of my own happiness and success. And I was looking for approval from other people, approval, whether it was my family, right? Or my spouse and my kids. And as a result of not getting approval, there were things I wouldn't do, that even though inside I felt like these would be great things for me, for my journey in my life and as an entrepreneur, I was really looking for that kind of nod from others. So when that all came to light, I'm like, okay, good realization. Now I need to take my power back, right? And know that I am worthy of whatever it is that's calling to me, and to reconnect with my inner powers. So there were a lot of shifts that I made. So, one of that was, again, letting go of that need for others' approval. And that, played into how I would invest in myself and my business. And I also, there were so many things that I felt I needed an answer to. So I wanted to see the whole picture laid out in front of me. And I didn't trust that the next steps would come, or that things would unfold kind of in a natural, organic way.
Sure.
So So I, through that control, again, it was like, what was that perfect answer, right? What was that perfect program to grow my business? Who's that perfect coach? All those things, like you're looking for that guru, or you're looking for that, almost like that, I don't want to say quick fix, but what is that one formula that's going to be the perfect thing for me to help me grow my business? So I was really fixed on having some set answer. And through this, again, this inner inquiry, I'm like, I don't have to have it all figured out. I can really connect back in to, my inner wisdom and to my intuition, and not know everything. So that was another part of how my money story shifted. And then the last thing was kind of, again, that further in going inward, of not having to it was more than just not having to know all the answers. Instead of looking externally for success, right? And the definition of my own strength and my own power, I went inward and started really to connect back in with who I was authentically, and it became more of an inner journey versus an external journey. So those were definitely some keys. And as I went through and made those shifts, what it allowed me to do was really, it's funny because as I was preparing for this our conversation, it so perfectly links into now my work as a coach, and what I teach is, there were so many, these powers that I reconnected with that I have inside, that have allowed me to, own my worth, and to know that, I am worthy for, to have my business, to have my ideas come to life. And I need to own that. Right. So that was, through all these shifts that I made, and then reconnecting with the powers, which have become my powers of radiant achievement, I to get that money power back. And so a lot of what I see in my journey is that really belief in myself and my ideas, and just every day, trusting that it's unfolding in its time, and to not give up on myself, to really stay committed, which is another one of my powers. So I think if I could, boil that whole story down, I would say that money story really, one of the main transitions was looking to others for the approval and the validation of where I wanted to go with my business and my life, and to really taking that power back and believing in myself and owning my own worth. And that has given me such a strong foundation to then take all the scary steps, right? To keep moving forward, and learn what I need to learn, and do what I need to do.
Awesome. It's really interesting because in speaking with a lot of women, I see that, it's really common that we kind of put ourselves on the back burner. And that's kind of what I heard from you, sacrificing your needs for the needs of your family and others. And that's actually one of the archetypes, that we talk about in terms of money archetypes, the martyr syndrome. And as women, we do that. We put everybody needs ahead of ours. But it was so wonderful to hear your shift started with realizing your worth, right? And that you needed to take care of you. And part of that is stepping into your power, and trusting. Yeah, you said trusting, and believing that the next steps will come to you, which is amazing. It's awesome, and obviously it has. Now, one of the things though that I hear also from entrepreneurs, a lot of us that are in the service industry, helping, it's kind of like we want to give everything away. It's like we want to help people. We're living our purpose, right? Our passion. Right. So what made it okay for you to be profitable? Because you are a profitable entrepreneur. So what made it okay for you to make money?
Yes. You know, it really came down to, and it's interesting, I can think of a couple times as I was, setting my prices and changing my prices and putting the cost of my packages together, is I sat and I just like sat with and felt, what are all those things that I have learned and gone through and invested in, right? Trainings I've invested in, wisdom, 30 years of wisdom that I am bringing to the table, processes that I am bringing to the table that were, whether I learned them formally or informally. When I sat and just really, with my eyes closed, felt into all those years and layers of experience and wisdom, that is priceless, right? Like that is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
priceless information. And so why would I give away priceless information, right? For free? I wouldn't. And it really helped me to own the value that I am bringing to the table as a coach, as a mentor, as a guide, as a speaker.
mm-hmm.
And I will say that probably was one of the key things for me. If when I was in my head about it, and it was very difficult, because then I would get like the whole ego thing would start happening. But when I connected really fully in my body and anchored into my worth, it helped me to see that yes, what I'm asking, or what the investment my clients are making
Sure.
is definitely a worthwhile investment, and it's for these reasons that I charge what I charge. So and I think stay connected to that is definitely, for me, it's still an ongoing practice.
Sure. Yeah, and it is. And I know I even went through that, starting my business, thinking, wow, if I charge that, then can they afford this, that kind of thing. But
Right.
it's so important for us as entrepreneurs to understand that it is okay to be profitable, because the more profitable you are, the more you can give back, to the causes you're passionate about, right? Or family members, whatever it is that feeds your soul.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. I'm,
sure. Go
I'm
ahead.
all
Did you want to?
I'm all about feeding the soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, we mentioned a few struggles. Tell me, what would you say was the most challenging to overcome?
Hmm. Boy. I will say here's one of the ones that was maybe the most pivotal,
Mm,
because in my history as whether it's an entrepreneur in my life, I would have ideas, and sometimes I wouldn't even start them. I would just say it's just too big, it's too much momentum would be required to get it started, too many moving parts, people unknown, whatever, and I wouldn't even start, right? And
yeah,
then there were those that I would start and I would easily give up. If there was any little, ruffling along the way of something that felt uncomfortable for me, right? Like
hmm,
making cold calls, or asking for the sale, whatever. Back in, kind of my earlier days as an entrepreneur, it was very easy for me to just say, oh, it's just too hard. I'm not going to do that. So, um, let's see, the biggest one to overcome, I think, really was, the pivotal moment was I drew that line in the sand, and I said, there was a product idea I had and I wanted to bring that product to life. And I said, no matter what it takes, no matter how long, no matter who I have to become, no matter the steps I have to go through, it was really, for me, I think the biggest thing was just making that commitment to
yeah,
myself, and that I would do whatever I had to take. So I think until I made that commitment, there were so many things that would stop me or slow me down. And I will say that was probably the pivotal one, is just, making that commitment to me, that I will be true to me.
hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
good, good, yeah. Um, Now, in the last 5 years, okay, and I'm really wanting to focus on the personal side,
Okay.
because I believe the personal relationship affects the business. What would you say were some of your either your new beliefs or behaviors or habits that
Right.
helped improve your financial life?
Right. Uh, well, I think one of the first ones is shifting my mindset to abundance.
Hmm.
And as a single woman now, it can be easy to get in that place of fear, right? And so
Right. Yeah.
definitely, I acknowledge the abundance in my life every day, and it could be the abundance of beauty I see around me. It's not just money abundance, but right, the abundance of friendships and love and support I have. So that has definitely been a shift for me in the last definitely in the last 5 years, is really already seeing abundance, because I've learned what you focus on you get more of, right? So if I'm
Hmm.
focusing on lack and fear and uncertainty, well, I'm going to get more of that. So consciously, I mean, mindset is actually one of the powers that I teach in my powers of radiant achievement.
Yeah.
And I, definitely am very conscious of what my mindset is. So
Absolutely. It starts with your mindset.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
So I would say that would be one of the shifts. I mean, there's been a lot,
mhm.
been and, and let's see, what else can I add to that? Yeah, just that inner, it's a mindset, it's a belief, but it's the habit of really getting quiet and getting still. I would say would be another shift that I made, because prior to 5 years ago, I very much lived my life in my head, and it was this fast paced, go go go, really just kind of disconnected from my authentic self. So another one of those shifts that I made was to get quiet, was to slow down, have quiet time, to just see what bubbles up. And then I started getting just, messages from my higher self, for that inner wisdom, that my
Mhm.
intuition that helped to guide me, here or there, whatever. And again, in whatever area of my life, it could have been related to my health, my finances, my relationships, my career. And I will say that started to bring about so much peace for me,
Mhm.
because um, it was coming from an inner place, right? It wasn't that external, where's the answer? Who's my guru? It was that inner, okay, I started to see I have wisdom. I have knowledge inside me that is available to me if I quiet my brain and get still and listen. So I will say that was definitely another shift that I made. Another one was when something when I had what I call it inspired action. So I would get messages from all around me, and I believe the universe is talking to all of us all the time. Are we clued in to hear it or not? So one of the other shifts I made was to pay attention to that. So I might get a message from a phone call, from an email, something like I'm in inquiry about something, and seriously, like I can like it's funny now how quickly things will pop into my vision. The next day or hours later, I get an answer, or I get something that's my next step on that path of whatever it is. So it's helped me be in this place of trust that, you know, there's abundance everywhere, that I'm supported, that whatever that next step is, that the answers are inside and around me, but I don't have to run around and scramble to find them. They will come to me. And so again, that's been something that's given me a lot of peace, and not just peace of mind, but it's also given me a lot of fun and energy in my life, because we don't have to struggle.
Yeah.
We don't have to. And how many women, and men are, I want to say, especially to the female entrepreneurs, in that place of just like, they're grasping for straws and stuff externally. So, when I went internal and got quiet and I started to listen and then take those inspired actions, that was, again, another huge shift for me. And I talked a bit about, again, that commitment, that was one. And then also reflection. So I would celebrate all the little things that were my little wins. And it kept me, in that place of momentum. And it could have been a phone call I made. It could have been a new client. It could have been, a connection to do a talk somewhere. It was all of these, like every little positive thing that happened was a win. And I acknowledge that and I celebrate that, whether I do it in my journal at night or I just, do it in my head at the end of the day when I'm reviewing my planner. So these were definitely lots of new habits and shifts and mindsets. Then I would say the last one, which was definitely pivotal for me and transformative, is I started doing mirror work in the morning, and I created a ritual for myself. And right, this is again part of my products and part of my work, where I am taking those 2 minutes to center, connect, love, and appreciate myself. So say mantras in the mirror, acknowledging something I love and appreciate about myself. Saying I love you to me, right? These are all things that were uncomfortable at first, but I will say, just when you start to connect, that inner outer, you're connect with every fiber of your being and feel that love, feel that joy, feel that empowerment of, oh gosh, I'm going to do a new one for a new radiant leader one. I haven't done the mat yet, but I am enough exactly as I am right now. I am one kind, right? And I am strong, I am capable, I am powerful, I am kind, I am radiant. Saying those every day and just feeling that in my body, it keeps me fueled. It keeps me fueled for the journey. So there are these powers that I started to connect with and really embody every day that were all, whether it went to my mindset or new habits, but they all created a fuel for me to own, everything of who I am, where I'm going, and to stay the course. And
that's awesome. That is very awesome. I'm a big proponent of getting quiet, because I believe you can't hear, what the universe is telling you if you're not quiet, right? So that's awesome. And then that gives you the clarity, like you said, to take the inspired action that you need to take to move you, to your next steps. Those are some wonderful shifts. What would you say, if you can kind of narrow them down, give our viewers just the top 3 things that you do on a daily basis to keep you in your money power?
Okay.
Top 3.
Okay, top 3. Number 1 is gratitude. And right, so every day, whether I say it out loud or I write it down, I say what I'm grateful for. Number 2, I would say, is spending that quiet time in that, getting to that place of listening. And it's not even just for that inspired action to come. It's to it's to quiet your mind, right? It's to let go of those stirrings and those anxieties. So I would say having that quiet, whether you call it meditation or just a place of quiet reflection and listening, would be a second one. And then, I think the third one is something, whether it's through a mantra or some other, conscious words that you say to yourself that, whether I am enough, I am powerful, I have what it takes, to really consciously speak that vision of yourself, whether you fully see it now or not, but to speak it really into existence, I like to say, and remind yourself that you are an amazing, powerful woman who has everything it takes to live your fullest life.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Some good advice. Can you please share one piece of advice that you feel would help our viewers move forward and take that leap of faith like you did, right? In the beginning, it was a leap of faith.
Right.
Take that leap of faith to live the life they desire.
Right. One piece of advice. Okay. So here is what I will say is we have, kind of culturally bought into a version of success that I think leaves us wanting, lacking, anxiety, stressed out. And so my advice is to shift your paradigm, shift your viewpoint around achievement, and really connect in with the powers that you already have to manifest your fullest desire and to pursue your soul-centered calling. My advice is to really look at radiant achievement as a new paradigm for achievement. If you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, a place of lack and unfulfillment, I think would be my advice.
Okay. And by radiant achievement,
Yes.
you mean?
Yes, by radiant achievement. So radiant achievement is a new paradigm for achievement, where you connect with your inner powers. There's 7 core inner powers that I've discovered through my journey, and connect with those powers and tap into what is it your soul is calling you to do.
Okay.
And then walk that journey of bringing to life what it is that's calling to you. It could be a business idea. It could be something in the community, but really listen to what your soul, it could be creating a garden, right? Listen to what that is your soul is calling you to do, and then approach it by engaging your inner powers of self-worth, inner listening, mindset, commitment, reflection, ritual, and inspired action to bring that calling to life. So my advice would be, be open to a new way of living your life, ultimately, that empowers you. And I know, that this is part of the work that you do, and we all call it different things, right? So that would be my advice. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, and it really is important to be open to take that action to, whatever that calling might be. Tap into what your inner voice is telling you, telling you to do. So that's wonderful. Now, last question. Tell me, what is the biggest lesson that you learned that helped you rise to your money power? And I think I know what you're going to say, but tell me what it is. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It is really to believe in myself. And it's interesting, as I wanted to add in, go back and talk about it, but there's a lot of goals that I've achieved, set out to achieve in my life. And I will say, once I started to journey to create the goals that were calling to me, right? That were coming from that inner place. I will tell you, the power that I felt, like it was like drawing the line in the sand when I decided to create my product. Like I felt so much power rise up in me that I knew I was so connected to what it was that was calling to me, that I knew I would be willing to do whatever it took. And my journey of owning my money power, stepping into my money power, has been, as much more so probably an inner journey than an outer journey.
Sure.
And so I think I would offer up for women is to, on this whole topic of money power and power, and I like to even talk about women as radiant leaders, right? Are they leading in their life? And a lot of times, if the goal we're pursuing is a goal that's created for some external reason, right? Like cultural reasons or family reasons, or I need to do this because I'm comparing myself to somebody else. We're probably not connected to that in an inner, from that inner soul way. So my advice would be, like, if it's not working for you, like, check in. Where's this coming from? And is this what you're pursuing coming from a place of inner inspiration?
Mhm.
Then you will more easily step into believing in yourself. But and if you're not believing in yourself, then yeah, step into believing in yourself, and that what it is that inner calling is saying to you, because that is your gift to bring to the world. That's your contribution to bring to the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. I really enjoyed this conversation. So happy to have you here today. Before we wrap up, please tell our viewers a little more about what you're working on now and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. Yes. So for those of you listening in and watching in that live in Southern California, I do half-day workshops once a month called Radiance Awakened. And it's where I teach and introduce women to this new paradigm of achievement, and help you to kind of see how that can apply to your life and your goals. And I also coach it one-on-one through the phone, so women can be anywhere in the world. And I have a variety of different programs that I do to support women based on where they're at and what kind of support they're looking to do. So the best way to connect with me or to get an idea of what my work is through my website, which is thechristinehoward.com altogether. Christine, CHRISTINE Howard, HOWARD.com. And I actually have a free gift for everybody, which are 10 rituals that I use and I recommend to really activate your radiant achievement powers. So simple things you can do every day. That's you can sign up free on my website for that.
Okay, wonderful. I truly believe that our personal relationship directly impacts how successful we are in our professional as well as business lives. So hopefully that message resonated with you from our interview today. If it did, I'd love to get some feedback from you. Please drop a comment, like, or subscribe. And again, love to get the feedback. What I'd like to do in order to wrap up, and I actually had 2 quotes that I picked, and I wanted to decide which one I thought was most appropriate after our conversation. So I think this one is very appropriate. You can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing, and then do them so well that people cannot take their eyes off you. By Maya Angelou.
I love that quote.
Yes, Maya Angelou. So thank you to those of you that are viewing for joining us today. And remember, until next time, you can rise to your money power.